Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, The Cat Who Pretended to be a Tree. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don't like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. Miko, the clever orange tabby, was known for her curiosity and her love of mischief. She loved to watch the world around her, but sometimes she craved a little more excitement, something more daring. She had always been fascinated by the way the humans in her house seemed to ignore certain things, especially when those things were right in front of them. Why do they always miss the obvious? She thought one lazy afternoon as she lay on her favorite windowsill. What if I could be invisible to them? Her mind started to race, and her tail flicked in excitement. Then it hit her. I have a brilliant idea. The key to becoming invisible, Miko decided, wasn't actually to disappear. It was to blend in. She had observed the humans' fascination with the plants in the living room. The plants seemed to get all the attention, admired and watered regularly. People loved their plants, fussed over them, and often told them how beautiful they were. Miko's plan was simple. If she could become a plant, then perhaps she could gain the same kind of attention and sneak a little extra snack from the kitchen while no one was looking. Miko leapt off the windowsill and scampered to the living room, where the potted plants stood in their neat little rows. There was a particularly tall fern that she had always admired. It was big and leafy, with a nice green color that almost matched her own fur. Perfect! She crouched behind it and began to plot her next move. All I need to do is be still, pretend to be part of the plant, and I'll blend in perfectly. Miko thought, feeling quite pleased with herself. With a determined look in her eyes, Miko positioned herself just behind the fern, and she did what every cat knows best. She sat down. She wrapped her tail around her paws and flattened her ears, trying to look as plant-like as possible. For a moment, she just sat there, her eyes half closed, waiting for the magic to happen. I'm a tree, she mused. A magnificent, leafy tree. Miko had only been in her new position for a few moments when the humans came into the room. Her owner, Alex, walked in, humming a tune and carrying a cup of coffee. Miko's eyes darted toward the door, her heart racing. She needed to stay perfectly still, just like a real plant. Alex walked past her, not noticing the orange tabby crouched behind the fern. Miko's tail flicked in excitement. It was working. She had successfully become invisible. Alex went to water the plants, and Miko, in her excitement, could hardly believe her luck. Alex reached right past her and watered the fern. She didn't even flinch. This is going better than I imagined, Miko thought. I'm the perfect plant. But just as Miko began to feel victorious, disaster struck. Her stomach let out a loud grumble, reminding her that she hadn't eaten in hours. She froze, eyes wide in horror. No, I mustn't move. I mustn't betray my disguise. Alex, however, seemed completely oblivious, continuing to water the plants. Miko's stomach grumbled again, this time louder than before. She silently cursed her cat instincts. Why did I skip breakfast? She wondered, her tail twitching nervously. She shifted her position slightly, hoping the movement would go unnoticed. To her surprise, Alex didn't even glance in her direction. Miko breathed a sigh of relief. She was still in the clear. After a few more minutes, Alex walked out of the room, leaving Miko alone with the fern. This was it, her chance. Miko's eyes gleamed. She dashed toward the kitchen, forgetting her plant act for a moment. Her paws moved swiftly, and she reached the counter, where a plate of tuna leftovers awaited. She didn't even bother with elegance. She just dove in, scarfing down the fish. That was delicious. Miko purred, her belly now full and content. But just as she was about to lick her paws clean, she heard footsteps approaching. It was Alex again. Miko's eyes widened. She had to get back to the fern immediately. With lightning speed, Miko rushed back into the living room and dove behind the fern once more, positioning herself exactly as she had been before. She sat perfectly still, hoping she hadn't been spotted. Alex entered the living room and paused. Alex muttered, eyeing the fern with suspicion. Something feels off about that plant today. Miko's heart raced. She was almost certain Alex was going to figure out her little trick. Her stomach, still full from the tuna, was pleasantly content, but the tension in the air made it hard to relax. Then, Alex shook their head and sighed. "I must be imagining things," they muttered. "That's what happens when you've had too much coffee." And with that, Alex turned and left the room once more. Miko remained absolutely still for several more minutes, her eyes darting around nervously. Had she pulled it off? Could she really fool Alex into thinking she was a plant? To her amazement, Alex never returned to the living room. And slowly but surely, Miko began to believe she had indeed succeeded. After a few more hours of pretending, Miko finally stood up and stretched, feeling a little stiff from her long, plant-like position. She padded over to the window, casting one final glance at the fern she had become. Well, Miko thought with a satisfied purr, it wasn't the most glamorous adventure, but it worked. I'm a master of disguise. And from that day on, Miko made it a point to visit the fern regularly. Whenever Alex wasn't looking, she'd crouch behind it, pretending to be a potted plant. She didn't know why it was so much fun, but somehow being a cat pretending to be a tree felt like the most brilliant thing she'd ever done. After all, who could resist the life of a plant, where no one bothered you, and you got all the snacks you wanted in secret?